Hello, I'm Dawn Yoder Graber, and I'm so happy to be here today on this live with my mother, Nancy Yoder. Mom, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Dawn from Dawn Yoder Graber Consulting, and I work with senior leaders and businesses to be able to create cultures where women thrive. So, in that regard, we're here today just wanting to hear my mom's story of being a woman business owner for many decades. And this summer, we were vacationing together. We often do that. We're neighbors, we're good friends. And in the car this summer, driving to the airport for a long period of time, we started talking about some of her past businesses. And I had like this eureka moment of here I am. We've been close our whole life. I've known all the business she's been involved in. And yet now that I work with women business owners and with organizations that care about making sure they create cultures where women thrive, I realized I hadn't really stopped long and hard to think about everything my mom experienced, everything my mom has done in her life as being a leader, the businesses that she's founded. And so we had this great conversation in this long ride to the airport. And I said, Mom, we should be recording this. There's so much here that you can teach not only me as I support senior leaders and women, but that you can teach women of all different ages and also the men that support them and work with them as colleagues. So, in that regard, we're here today. And so I wonder, Mom, as we talk about these businesses that you've been a part of and that you've led, the first one that I think about was in northern Michigan. But first, we had to move there. We had just had like your dream house built, and you and Dad were seemingly happy and fine, and everything was clicking along in Midland, Michigan. And then you up and moved. So set the story, like, why did you first move to northern Michigan?
Well, we did that because we got involved as a family in water and snow sports. So you know that I had you and your brother on skis at very young ages and in the water skiing also. And so we got attracted to northern Michigan, which had all of those amenities, and just found ourselves the year before we moved 50 of 52 weekends. We were up at the cottage
We were in northern Michigan playing.
playing
Okay.
52 weekends. So we said, my husband was in sales. Why don't we move up there? And then we don't have to drive 3 hours every weekend one way.
So you were enjoying the northern Michigan atmosphere, all things play. You've definitely taught me how to play, even as you're such a hard worker, and we'll continue to talk about that. So previously, you had been in secretarial work before I was born. That was very classic for women in the 50s, I think, for what role could women have if they worked outside of the home, but a secretarial position. But were you employed when we moved to northern Michigan? Had you been working in Midland?
No.
So you were home at that point when we moved to northern Michigan.
From the time you were born, it didn't work.
Okay, you weren't working outside of the home. I'm glad you finished that phrase, outside of the home, because I know there's lots of work within the home and for our stay-at-home parents too. So you went to northern Michigan, and then how in the world, since you hadn't been a small business owner, you did not have college or background in learning how to be a small business owner, what happened and why did you start a business?
I started Nancy's in a minute apparel because somehow I got attached to really nice lingerie.
That is a story, Mother. We might have to hear more about this.
I got attached to that, and there had been a really special store in Midland, Michigan, where we had been living.
Okay.
And so I knew what I liked. And so then a neighbor in Midland was opening up a small little outerwear in Petoskey. And she said, and I told her about what I was thinking. And she said, go for it. I'm not selling any intimate apparel. So
Wow.
that's how we got connected.
So let's see if I heard you correctly, Mom. You were saying that you enjoyed nice things that were, and I think we probably even have to define intimate apparel. You did, but you said bras, panties, slips. It's not really a phrase I hear these days.
Nice
intimate apparel.
Gown,
okay.
Nice robe.
That's right.
Everything, that you put on in different times of the day or week.
Yeah, to be comfortable at home. So you realized that you appreciated that.
Right.
You had a conversation with another woman, a business owner woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's influential. And it gave you the idea like, oh, you're not selling it. I wonder if we could offer it here. Why did you want to offer it in Northern Michigan?
Because we were moving there. And we were moving there, and because I knew nothing against J.C. Penney, but that was the store in a small resort area. And so I just felt like there were people up there like me, because it was a good size clinic and hospital.
Okay.
And those women would be wanting to be exposed to some of that, not have to drive 60 miles to another bigger city to get stuff.
And this was definitely before you could just get on Amazon or the internet or something.
Nothing like that.
Right. We had to go to the J.C. Penney's catalog department if we wanted to order something, is what I remember.
Well, you could buy in the store,
though. Okay. You're right. They had some in the store.
Yeah, you could buy in the store.
Okay. So you decided to just inquire whether you could go about having this business that would provide intimate apparel that you knew you liked. You didn't see any competition other than J.C. Penney's, and you were like, I think we can do this.
And both of our children, you and your brother, were at ages that were no longer tiny.
Okay, we were like middle school or upper
grade and sixth grade or something.
Okay.
Like that. So you were gone into school.
Yeah. Do you remember the opening? What was like the first day like?
Well, I remember we had a sign out, and the first store was very small, maybe 10 feet wide.
Oh my, long and narrow.
Maybe 12.
On Mitchell Street, for any of you who know Northern Michigan.
It was very, very narrow. And so my husband, Dennis, helped get all of the store located and shelving and so forth.
Okay.
And we had didn't know a lot of people, but a few people made sure that they came.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know the details of it.
You don't remember exactly the first day, but you tried to, I'm sure, knowing you spiffed it up as much as possible. Yeah. Did you advertise? Were you knowledgeable about marketing then, or what was needed?
Point, the main communicator was a local
newspaper. Yeah. I know we still have on our bulletin board in my house, we have a picture of Nancy's robes. Yeah. And that's up on our bulletin board, an old advertisement.
Those were the days of fancy, comfy robes, not cherry cloth.
That's true. That's true. Mother, you sound like you grew up like a princess in a very privileged home, that you wanted these items.
No, I'm not sure. I know I grew up in a blue collar family, and my mother didn't sew, so she didn't make my things, but she was very cautious about how much money she spent on anything.
Okay.
And so I can't tell you what I wore to bed to sleep or whatever.
But somewhere you learned about nice items.
I can't remember the first, bra or panties or anything like that. But
okay.
I just somehow was drawn to that.
Wow. Well, we're talking about the 70s here, right? The early 70s.
Right.
you couldn't even get a credit card as a
No.
woman until halfway through the 70s. And I'm remembering the bank on the corner. And what comes to mind as you think about running a business as a woman in the 70s?
What comes to my mind now is that I really had no question that I could do it, or
Mm.
I really didn't really think about what it costs to open up a business.
Oh, well, there's that too, right?
I had no idea about something like that. My husband was in sales, and so he basically had done the financing part of things. But I do remember, since you talked about this, I do remember knowing the local president of the local bank. Became good friends uh, to Dennis and to me and his wife. And in fact, his wife was like one of the first people in the store. I do remember
Oh,
that.
this is back when like it helped to know the bank president
Yeah,
and
right,
and
right,
uh,
right.
influence. Okay.
And so that's when I did learn that I could not get a loan.
Okay.
So I thought about that, and I went to my father, who is
Mm.
this blue collar worker who just retired from a blue collar job in General Motors and
Saginaw,
in
Michigan, General
Saginaw,
Motors
and
steering gear, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he had just retired, and he knew. I talked with him about what I wanted to do, and he was willing to loan me the initial amount, which I'm not sure if it was 12,000 or something like
Wow.
that sticks in my mind.
That was a lot back then.
So yeah, so out of his retirement, yes, and so whatever it was, we did a paper IOU kind of thing,
Wow.
and I was very diligent of paying him as I would have to if I would have been now in a bank or a loan company or whatever.
Wow. Mom, I remember watching you. This would have been on the Lake Street store. So you switched locations after you
After
were
a
in that
year,
that skinny sort of
right,
store on Mitchell. Then you went over to Lake Street.
right,
And I remember Jeff and I would come to the store after sports practice or cheerleading practice. We'd be in the back room. You'd put me steaming clothes or whatnot. But I remember watching you write checks to Grandpa, and just that sense of example to me that you were diligently paying him back, but that you had needed some funds to
yeah,
be able to open this
yeah,
store.
yeah. And apparently, I'm not sure why Denny didn't. We didn't go through him doing something. I don't know. I
Okay.
can't remember